In life, just as the concept of winners exists, there must always be losers. But did you know the same principle applies in the world of horology? Just as there are Grail watches adored by everyone who knows a thing or two about luxury watches, there are also plenty of unsung heroes. Underrated luxury watches are way under the radar, despite being fine pieces of mechanical wonders all on their own. Without further ado, here are some of the most underrated watches from the top Swiss brands that can't seem to get above everyone's nose. Starting off today, we have the Omega Seamaster 300 coaxial master chronometer. Over the years, Omega has created a buzz surrounding its watches, and its marketing prowess is admirable. Whenever you hear the name Omega, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Was it space exploration and Speedmaster chronographs? Omega takes great pride in being on the wrists of men who dared to go where no one had ever been before. But did you know you'd have to look at the other pinnacle of exploration to find the longest running timepiece in the vast catalogue of Omega? We're talking about the Seamaster, of course. In 1957, Omega released the Seamaster 300 with 200 meters of water resistance. But with a revamp in 2018, it was sensationally upgraded to an in-house master chronometer certified movement. However, given the theme of today's video, the Seamaster 300 line is a bit of a sleeper hit in the watch community. But how exactly do the watch specs stack up? At its very core, the Seamaster 300 comes in 42mm of stainless steel. While being 13.7mm thick, it also has a 50mm lug-to-lug reading with a lug width of 20mm. As for the case, it looks great. It is an excellent combination of brushed and polished surfaces, including the iconic Omega twisted lug. It has a polished black ceramic bezel with white indices and Arabic numerals every 10 minutes. Finally, if you turn to the back of the piece, you'd find a sapphire case that protects the Omega Master Chronometer caliber 8800. For those who aren't too familiar with the movement, the brand's Metas certified automatic movement features a coaxial escapement and free-sprung balance with a silicon balance spring. It has a power reserve of 55 hours and a frequency of 3.5 Hz. You can get this timepiece for around £5,800. Another watch we have to talk about is the Longines Hydro Conquest 41mm. One thing about Longines is that over time, they've built a solid rep in the field of vintage-inspired watches and chronographs. However, in the case of the Hydro Conquest 41mm, here lies one of the unsung heroes. First launched in 2007, the model got a total revision in 2018 with some upgraded material, a strong mechanical credential, and a more simplified design in comparison. One thing to note about the case is that if you own the original Hydro Conquest, the one on the updated version is nearly identical, except for the size, of course. The newer Hydro Conquest is 41mm wide with a lug-to-lug of 50mm. While such readings may feel too big for quite a considerable amount of potential buyers, there's more than meets the eye. You see, the watch's casing was built so that the case back hardly extends beyond the case itself. Also, given how it only has a thickness of around 11.9mm, the watch always sits quite nicely on the wrist. That being said, don't take this to imply that it feels smaller. That's completely far from the case. While the watch is big, the slim lines make it much more comfortable on the wrist. One of the things so many buyers look out for in a timepiece is its movement. The two-tone Hydro Conquest comes with a self-winding L888 caliber with an improved power reserve of 72 hours and beats at 25,200 vibrations per hour. As a safety measure to counter magnetic forces, it comes with a silicon balance spring. Getting a Longines Hydro Conquest 41mm should cost you around £1,500. Moving on, the Tissot PRX Powermatic 80 is another typical example of being underrated. For starters, this timepiece measures 39mm in height with a width of 40mm. If you are a lover of stainless steel and don't have this watch already, we think you need to consider getting one soon. The case is made from 316L stainless steel, and just as you probably figured out, it makes the watch highly resistant to corrosion. Thankfully, with just around a thickness of 10.9mm, the watch doesn't feel oversized, despite its broad and tall profile. The watch's crown is located at 3 o'clock, and interestingly, it is knurled around the perimeter, perhaps in a bid to make it easier to handle. Guys, similar to the original PRX, the updated PRX Powermatic 80 has a more thin impressive rating of 100 meter water resistance, and while modern technology has grown at an amazing pace with seals performing way better than they did in the 1970s, it would be in your best interest to be cautious as it comes with a push-pull crown rather than a screw-down one. Did you know the dial comes in different colours? There's a blue dial version, a green, white, black, and a striking gold version that also comes with an 18-karat gold bezel. Alas, in all of the aforementioned versions, bar the gold one, the jewel surface has a textured finish with raised squares in similar patterns to the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak. One of the most attractive features of the PRX Powermatic 80 is its movement. Based on the famous ETA 2824-2 movement, the watch's engine is the Powermatic 80.111 made by Tissot. As the Powermatic 80 moniker suggests, the watch has an incredible power reserve of 80 hours, thanks to its beat rate of 3 Hz. With a less than £600 asking price, wouldn't you say it's a steal? Let's be real with each other. Would this list even be complete without mentioning the Seiko Marine Master SLA 023J1? The Seiko Marine Master 300 was undoubtedly a lot of people's first ever introduction to the more expensive Seiko diver. You may notice some people using the SLA 023J1 in place of the Marine Master moniker, but that's because of the brand itself. You see, the Marine Master name is no longer the official moniker used in Seiko's catalogues anymore. But would that be enough to stop the fans from using it? Well, not really. One of the standout features of the SLA 023J1 is its deep blue sunburst dial. We find it to be attractive. Did you know if you viewed the dial at certain angles, it would change to a black color? In other lighting conditions, you can see its majestic deep blue color in all its glory. The timepiece also comes with an anti-reflective coated sapphire glass that many older Marine Master model owners thirsted for. For the size of the watch case, it comes with a diameter of 44.3mm and a thickness of 15.4mm. While many potential buyers may be a bit unamused by the size readings, you should know that because of its great weight distribution and low center of gravity, the watch feels much smaller, like a 42mm diver. The Seiko Marine Master SLA 023J1 comes with a super reliable 8L35B automatic movement that can guarantee its user a power reserve of around 50 hours. Did you know that the 8L35B comes with 26 jewels? Another thing we'd like to add is that the black case of the M300 isn't physically removable. Many believe the 8L35B has a lot of similarities to the Grand Seiko 9S55 automatic movement, but while that's true, the major difference is that the latter is calibrated. However, the 8L35B still dishes out reliable accuracy and ruggedness, two important ingredients that you need for a diver's watch. Coupled with a water resistance of 300 meters, wouldn't you say a price tag of £2,800 is adequate for such a watch? The Patek Philippe Calatrava reference 6119G001 is what we call an audacious watch. Not audacious in the sense that it looks strange or that it has some odd components. We're giving it this title because of its bohemian trend. As at the point of release, in terms of mechanical watchmaking, automatic calibers were the default, and as a matter of fact, you'd be hard-pressed to find a lot of new manually wound watches in the market, except for some high complication models. With that in mind, given how the market niche is all about automatic engines, a lot of watch manufacturers follow suit. Then came Patek Philippe, ignoring the rules of the game by dropping some references housing a brand new hand-wound movement. The reference 6119 is a typical Patek Philippe watch. It comes with a modern aesthetic that leans on classical designs, with the most popular being the reference 3319, the signature Calatrava of the 1980s and 1990s. With a case size of 39mm, the 6619 is one of the biggest Calatravas to grace the scenes of horology. But it's also really slim. It has a thickness of around 8mm. With that in mind, it feels super slim and elegant whenever you put it on the wrist. Did you know the reference 6119 comes in 2 versions? While the white gold version looks elegant and fashioned with a modern aesthetic, the rose gold version looks much more classic. It's just like an old school dress watch. One of the star attractions of the watch is the new movement, the caliber 30255 PS, which guarantees a power reserve of 65 hours, which greatly improves upon the 44 hours on the previous caliber 215 PS. Also, it has a frequency of 4 Hz, or 28,800 beats per hour. All in all, the 6119 is a comfortable timepiece, and its lightweight makes it easily recommendable to anyone. The Clou de Paris bezel and 3D hands also make it more impressionable, especially when compared to the models that came before it. For a daily watch from a high-end brand like Patek Philippe, what do you think about its price tag of £28,900?